In Kubernetes, we have something called liveness probe. And basically, this is what the kubelet uses to check whether to restart a container. For example, the liveness probe could catch a deadlock or a database failure or a connection or a timeout or any other issue that is happening within your application. So to set up liveness probe, it's as follows. So within VS Code in here, inside of my YAMLs folder, I do have this customer deployment in here. And if I open up my terminal in here, let's say kube ns and then engineering. So remember before, so we use namespaces, and currently this is inside of engineering. So I'm going to say now kube ctl get pods, and you can see that we have 4 pods. And in here, let's just get the services as well. So get svc, and there we go. So we have this service right here, customer, and we also have the node port. So let's just say for now, so I want to open up this, so mini kube and then service customer, and you've seen this before. And this is not working because with minikube, I actually have to specify the namespace. So -n and then engineering. So now let me take this URL and let me open up my web browser. And then in here, let me just close this tab and I'm going to paste this in. And there we go. It says cannot get. But remember here we have API /v1 / and then customer. Enter, you can see that we have a list of customers. Now, what I also have implemented for this microservice is that under this path, we can say / and then health. So this is the root path. And you can see that it says status is up, which means that the application is fine and it can receive traffic, right? So there is nothing wrong with the application. So if I restart this, you can see that it's absolutely fine. Now let's instruct Kubernetes to use this endpoint for its liveness probe. So again, liveness probe is what the kubelet uses in order to restart the container if anything is wrong. So here, let's go back to VS Code. And in order for us to use liveness probe, we have to use it inside of the containers. So remember, a pod is a collection of one or more containers. Now the liveness probe is per container, because if, for example, this container is down, it will only restart this container. If you have more than one container, it will perform the liveness check and restart the container which fails the check. So in order for us to have the liveness probe is as follows. So same level as name, image, resources, and nth. In here, we can say liveness and then probe. So you can see that it says, so in here, it says container will be restarted if the probe fails. So let's just define this. And in here, what I want to define is the following. I want to say HTTP and then get, and then inside, I want to say path, just like that. And if I put this a little bit bigger so you see properly, oops, just like this. So here I'm going to say path, and then a path is / and then health. So the path that you've just seen, and we also need the port. Now the port is 8080, so is this same port. Now let's also define the initial delay and then seconds. So this is the number of seconds after the container has started before liveness probes are initiated. So here we can say that only kick off the liveness probe checks after 10 seconds, for example. In here, let's also define the timeout. So timeout, and the timeout is the number of seconds after which the probe times out, and it defaults to 1 second. So here, let's just make sure that we have this as 1 as well, and let's be explicit. We also can define the failure, so failure threshold, and this is the minimum consecutive failures for the probe to be considered failed after having succeeded. So the default is 3, so let's just Again, just be explicit and say 3. And finally, I want to say here period and then seconds. So this is how often to perform the probe. So here we could, for example, say perform the check every 5 seconds. And to be honest, this is pretty much. Now, inside of this customer, so customer microservice, I want to show you something. So inside of the server.js in here, I do have this environment variable. So here, kill in seconds. So I'm going to grab this. So this is an environment variable. And basically after a couple of seconds, it kills the process. So in here, let's go and basically, let me just go back to my customer deployment. And inside of the environment, what we're going to do is we're going to set another environment. So name, and then this will be kill in seconds, and then value, and then the value will be, let's just say 20 seconds. So after 20 seconds, basically die, right? This is what we're saying. And also, actually, let's just say 30 seconds for now. And in here, so let's just say the initial delay seconds, let's just say 5 seconds. So we want this to kick off in 5 seconds, because I know the application is so small and it should be fine to kick off the probe. So here I'm going to save this, and then let's go back to the terminal. And here, let me just press Ctrl+C, and let's say kubectl apply -f, and then customer deployment. There we go, configured. Now let's watch this. So kubectl, and then get, and then pods -w. Now have a look. So you can see that these have started right here so quick. So 12 seconds, 13 seconds, and in about 30 seconds they should die. And Kubernetes will use the probe that we've just defined to perform the check. There we go. You can see that there was an error. So literally after 30 seconds, and you can see that it's terminating, and it restarted the containers. And this is awesome. You can see that it's terminated, and we have 2 other ones in here, and you can see that basically it's just going to keep on terminating, so on and so forth. So every new application that comes up, it will basically get terminated in 30 seconds. So here you can see that 63 seconds. So let's just actually basically come out of that, and let's just remove this because I just wanted to show you. So here, let's just remove that, save this, and then apply. And there we go. So if I watch, you can see that terminating, and we have these 2 running so quick. So there we have it. Now the kubelet will use the liveness probe to check whether the application is fine and it can receive traffic. Now the benefit of us having control of this is that you can pretty much just define what is like for your application to be healthy. So in my case, it's just a endpoint, but then you can have custom logic, checking the database connections, and do a bunch of fancy stuff, right? So this is the benefit. Also, you can go and basically have more properties inside here. So you can say the host, you can pass headers, so on and so forth. But for our example, this is more than enough. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let me teach you about the readiness probe.